Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome to Superhero with a Cane, episode 14. We've got a slightly different setup today, and I have a new assistant, Sean O'Grady, who's taking the place of Mike O'Grady. Um, and this podcast wouldn't happen if it wasn't for MS for MS. So a big shout out and thank you to Mission Stadiums for Multiple Sclerosis. And okay, so today's topic, um, I honestly don't feel completely comfortable talking about because I think I'm going to fuck it up. Um, but in June was Pride Month, right? Okay. So Momentum is the magazine that the National MS Society puts out. So this on the cover of Momentum is a picture of Andrea Jenkins, who lives in, who's going through a transition, and the topic in the article is people that are going through transitions, becoming one gender to another, that are living with multiple sclerosis, and the discrimination that society and even the healthcare industry shows towards these people. Now, when I first saw the article, I was taken back. I saw the cover and I was taken back because it's just uncomfortable for me. Um, Not right, not wrong. It's just uncomfortable. So, but then I sat down and I actually read the article and I really started thinking about the situation. Now, Andrea Jenkins, from what, and I read the article several times. You know, I'm living with primary progressive MS and I have got a shitload of cognitive stuff. So reading and retaining is trouble for me these days. But from what I read, Andrea Jenkins in 2016 started experiencing symptoms. Left leg, I believe, was weaker, pain in her feet, um, and while she was going through transition from becoming a man to a woman, I believe. So the discrimination and the way she was treated um, is unbelievable. I mean, the article goes on and talks about several other people and that are going through this, and from someone that um, is uncomfortable with themselves anyway because of what MS has done to me, and experiences that I've had going to other doctor's offices that aren't related to my MS neurologist and having to explain and re-explain and the effect of being treated. I am not comparing this in any way to what anyone going through a transition experiences, but all I can do is relate how I feel. Um, Multiple sclerosis, and especially if you're dealing with cognitive issues and fatigue and plus the physical issues, is a challenge to deal with anyway. When you go into I'll use the example, and it's because it's the only example I have, but I remember the first time going into, I had to go to an orthopedic doctor because of my shoulder, and they gave me a practically a binder to fill out of paperwork. Now, my issues are majorly cognitive. So for me to be able to read, answer, fill out questions, um, I did not expect this. Sometimes I'll bring my wife or someone else with me to help me, but I could not fill out the paperwork to the point where I had to go up to the front desk, tell the receptionist my situation, um, and ask for help. Ask for someone to come down and sit with me and help fill out the paperwork. Well, you would have thought I was asking for a cure for fucking cancer or to solve world hunger. The way I got looked at, the way I got treated, um, was unbelievable. I mean, it took quite some time for them to finally find a person that was willing to come out and sit down with me and help me to fill out this paperwork. I had to get my shoulder looked at. My shoulder eventually had to be replaced. And all the questions regarding my medical history, what I was experiencing, finally, thank God, there was a person that sat down and was willing to go through this with me. I've experienced the same thing in other places. I remember going to a dentist's office. I remember going to the pulmonologist. I remember going to the urologist, and it's clear as day that I have multiple sclerosis, and I make sure people understand going in. But when you actually show up and get treated a certain way, you already feel like a piece of shit. You feel less than what you are or were, because you are less than what you are or were. You're physically, mentally unable to perform certain tasks anymore, and now you're asking for help. And the people that are sitting behind the desk are not equipped or trained to handle your situation. So how do they respond? They respond by acting like they're annoyed. They respond by rolling their eyes, the looks, the disgust. So, got notes like I always friggin' do. Besides Andrea Jenkins, there are other people mentioned in the article, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing these names. Caleb Esquilin, and then there was also a co-author of a study, Alexa Kane, who she co-authored a study of people that are going through transition that have MS. And what she found was that there's no published care or treatment for people that are in transition. What you get called, if you want to be called, and again, I apologize if I don't say this right, but if you want to be called one gender and you're referred to as another, in the article, the discrimination and the way a person was treated in the article was they wouldn't be referred to as how they wanted to identify. I don't get it. I'm a fucking white guy from Roselle. I don't know how to identify. I identify as a white guy from Roselle. That's all I've ever been. So asking me to step into this is pretty extreme. But I just thought the biggest thing that occurred to me is, man, imagine how uncomfortable a person feels anyway, going through this. The eyes that are on you, how you're treated, the misconceptions, and now add to that MS, which is a disaster for some people. Again, how you're treated, the perceptions. I personally, feel real stupid sometimes because I can't remember things, or I can't read something, and having to ask for help is just it doesn't make me feel, especially when I go back to how I used to be. I was somebody that was in charge um, and understood what I wanted and always was very clear about that. And these days that has changed, so I'm not as clear. So I can't imagine, like, is someone that is going through a transition like this, um, all of a sudden um, has to explain themselves. And now the symptoms of MS, which are confusing anyway. I mean, we all know that there's no cure for MS, and everyone's disease is different. Um, there are several types of MS, and the symptoms are all different. And as they come and as they go, and how they attack you is different. So now you have to explain that on top of transitioning. Now there was or there is. Eventually, I found that there are doctors in the article. It talks about doctors that are helping people go through this transition, that are trained in this, and they actually were referred. And I think it was Andrew Jenkins. I might be wrong, but I believe was referred to an MS neurologist that she felt more comfortable with, and was treating her with the respect that she deserved. Um, and she eventually got the help that she needed, and it's now walks with a cane, and is on, I believe, disease modifying therapy, and um, it's just tough. I and this, I'm not sure what the how we should even talk about this article, or this segment, the podcast. It just our healthcare system is broke. That's a given, and I believe people get hired that maybe shouldn't be in positions that they're in, and they're in positions where they're supposed to, you're there because you need something, because you don't feel well, because you're having an issue, and to be treated in a way that is disrespectful, questions, why you're even there, and makes you feel like, a piece of shit, less than a human being than you are. It's just mean, and I don't know how else to say it. It's just a bizarre situation. So, does that show how long are we in? How many minutes?
We're at about 14.
14? Okay. All right, so I'm reading my notes because I forget everything. Found for trans people. It's interesting because I go to physical therapy usually twice a week, and one of the things I notice is that, and I don't know if this is part of training or just instinctively comes from the people that take care of me. Stephanie's my physical therapist, and Trish at TheraFit, and Jess is my OT. Um, but one of the things that is done is they sit down with you, and they want to know what's going on in your life. They want to know, how your day is. They want to know what you did that weekend. If it was, you're showing up on a Monday, for example, and they ask questions, and they actually they care, or they come across like they care. Now, I don't know if they're trained to do this or they just instinctively do it. Um, when I go to my my MS doctor, my MS, my neurologist, every single person in that office makes you feel like you're somebody and that you're an actual person. You're a person living with MS, and they treat you the right way. And I don't know if that's just, again, instinctively just comes from the type of person they hire. They're trained that way. I don't know. But all I know is, how these people, how the transgender people transitioning are treated in society, especially if you have MS. Um, it's not right. And to have no understanding of the disease and how people that are transitioning go through this, um, it's not right. It needs to be found out. So that's it. Give a shit. Act like you care. If you work in the healthcare industry, ask questions. Remember, there's a person across from that desk or a person you're asking questions to. When they give you an answer, listen to the answer. When they have concerns, listen to their concerns. Um, doesn't matter uh, what race, what what gender. Doesn't matter any of that. There is a person in there. So treat them with respect, and that's all I have to say. I'm done.